I get asked a lot about how to get started in the damp industry and damp proofing per se. So I'm just gonna share with you what I think is the ideal trade or trades to get started in basically starting a damp proofing company, rather than just have it written on the back of your van as a plasterer, damp proofer, because you've put a bit of limelight on. The ideal trades for me would be a joiner or a plasterer. The reason being, a plasterer has probably plastered up some damp proofing that's been drilled and injected. So they've either had a builder's either been in, and this is going to go wrong, in it, right? So a builder's been in, and they've done a bit of damp proofing. They've dabbled with it. They've seen videos online, things like that. But 2019 is probably, if you're thinking of diversifying, if you're fed up of plastering, going on sites, skimming meters and meters of ceilings and walls covered in shite, dusty, breathing it all in, starting at 8, finishing at 4:30, going to work in dark, coming away in dark. Same for joiners. If you're a site joiner and you're putting casings in, stud walls up all the time, on a ship price, because we know that house builders are, you know what I mean, the prices are not brilliant. In fact, I'm just trying to think, in 80s, I'm sure it was £2 a metre in the 80s, and I don't think it's changed much now. So, but I ain't been on site for years. I've never give people price work, so I wouldn't know prices anyway. So I'm not going to comment on that. But if you want to set up your own damp and remedial company, now damp and remedial stuff is specialised, and there's not just rising damp. There's condensation, ventilation, there's lateral damp, there's sulfates, and that's just on one side. You go on to the other side and there's waterproofing, which is retrofit basements, which would be ideal for some people if you can get a team together. You get some labourers and you can get that team working, digging out basements and things like that. But what you need to do is you need to go on your courses and learn how to do things. Now, people ask me, I get emails all the time, and it's like, how do I start? How do I start in this industry? Well, the easiest thing to do is to go on your manufacturer's courses. So your Safeguards, your Sovereigns, your John Newtons, your Wickamalls, we've all left out Pam Ties, I think, and Delta. I don't want to forget Delta. There's all these different manufacturers, damp and remedial products, materials, and they all do their own courses. If you Google it, you go online, you can go onto their websites, they'll tell you how much the courses are. They're the easiest starting point. Go on one of their courses, start to learn. And then once you've got a feel for things, once you've dipped your toe in water, so to speak, get onto PCA website and then find out about doing PCA courses, getting qualified as a technician, which is a starting block, and then work your way up from there if you want to become a PCA member. But a plasterer and a joiner, you've already got that basic knowledge. Once you realise how damp works, which on these courses they'll show you, so if you go on these courses, invest in yourself, learn to earn, which is a catchphrase of somebody or other. So if you're learning, you're going to be earning. So invest in yourself, go on these courses and learn how damp works, and then set yourself a business up. There's millions of properties in England that all need maintaining. All these millions of properties that they're building, that they've got to build to keep up with demand, these are going to get older, they're going to need maintaining. There's a lot of builders that might have made mistakes with ventilation that we have to keep going around and putting right. So, and then there's all these older properties, and then there's branches of speciality that you go in from there. If you wanted to carry on, you can take your surveying qualifications, and you can become a surveyor and go out, survey your own jobs, do your own jobs. So this industry is crying out for more and more qualified technicians, qualified surveyors. The demand, we can't keep up with demand. There's a shortage. So if you're wanting to earn more money for a better quality of work, if you're wanting to set your own business up and learn how to run a business and organise a team, then inquire. Send me an email, dampsam@alldrydamproofing.com. If you're wanting me to send you any links to different suppliers, manufacturers, PCA, but just Google it. I mean, Google PCA, go onto their website, ask them about their courses. Well, they're all there. 2019's courses are already there. If you remember, you get a discount. If you don't, it's a bit dearer. But get yourself, invest in yourself and join our industry. It's given me a good living, and I love what I do. When I was younger, there were better jobs about. And I'll tell you a quick story. Plastering was that shit in the 80s, and for different reasons. It was rubbish money. Work was hard, and when I say hard, bags that they've got now, 25 kg, 25 kilogram bags, plaster, cement, because as rules in Europe, they decided that we can't have bags bigger than 25 kg. When I started, when I was 16, and I don't know when it changed, sometime in the 90s, them bags were 50 kg. So you imagine two of them, two bags of plaster put together in one bag, they were 50 kg. And the bags of browning, they felt lighter because they were bigger, and it was like carrying a gravestone. So you had it on your shoulder and they were huge, but they did feel lighter, even though they were still 50 kg. They felt lighter. Because the finish were a lot denser than cement. So when you went on a site, you had to load house out first. So wagon would pull up, and you had to go out, and a lot of times front steps weren't there, so you had to walk across the batting. So you got 50 kg bags of finish, 50 kg bags of browning. You had to mix browning up in a bath, and it were an old bath what somebody got out in the house, and they used to put scrim. They used to mix scrim up and put it in plug hole so water wouldn't run out. And plasterboards, your 8x4s and your 6x3s came in what were called a clip. So they were double, and they had a paper strip holding them together down each end. So you weren't just carrying one 8x4 in, you had to carry two. And as a 16-year-old, about that fat, trying to carry a clip of 12.5 plasterboards which is 2 plasterboards together, 8x4s, it just wiped your heart. And I used to get home and I'd be laid, I'd have my tea, and I'd lay in front of the fire, and I just used to fall asleep. And that was me done. And I hated it. So what I did, I applied to join the RAF. I decided I wanted to be a photographer, so I thought I'll join RAF. So I went and took my exams, not exams. I went and took my test to be in RAF. I went to a place in Sheffield, and it was an exam. It was like you took an exam and they told you what you could, you know, depending on how brainy you were, they told you what you could do. And reconnaissance photographer was what I wanted to do. And when I got my results back, I think all I could do was be in infantry or something daft like that. It was something like cannon fodder. So so they got thrown out at window anyway. But on a plus point, because you always look for positives, I got my ears stringed for free because I did an hearing test and I couldn't hear now, so I got my ears stringed for free. And I was 20-year-old, and it was at that point that I thought, do you know what? I can't even get like to be in RAF or art of plastering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on being the best at what I do. And it was that they're going about shifting your mindset. It was that point when I sort of went, right, from now on I'm going to be best at what I do. Nobody told me this. You didn't have any coaches or like that back then. I just went, right, I'm going to be best at what I do. And I just concentrated on being best at skimming, cleanest, best at putting angle beads on. And I just learnt and just carried on until I achieved what I did, and I ended up being best in the world, I bet. So with my mate Sid, and me and Sid, he'll tell you, he was 3 times European champion of skimming ceilings, and I held world record of skimming biggest ceiling, unofficial world record of skimming biggest ceiling in one drag. And that's another story, because I applied to Guinness Book of World Records, and I got a lovely note back saying that it weren't in public interest. So and I think I've put that on record somewhere before, so how can that not be in public interest? I don't know. So so that was where my mindset shifted, and I decided this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be best at, and this is what's going to earn me money. So get your mind in gear, tunnel vision, and then I set about doing that, and then obviously went into damp and remedial side, because that's where money was. We're more specialist. When I did my HNC at college, that was one of the things that they drilled into you. You know, if you did a specialist, if you did a specialist trade, a specialist product, then you get more money because there's less demand for it. So, but what's happened now in remedial side is there's more demand because there's more properties, and we're getting more damp in them because government gave us an helping hand and dropped a bollock with their Green Deal, and decided not to put any ventilation in your properties, so and turned them into greenhouses, and now they've backtracked. But there's a lot of properties that's got issues, and that's why they're taking cavity wall insulation back out of your properties, because a lot of it weren't installed properly, and a lot of it were in companies sprung up to get these grants, put lads on price work, they rushed, didn't get it done properly, and now issues are starting to come out, and all these guarantees that are guaranteed by British Gas are being claimed on, and there's companies that will help you do that. Again, if you want to get in touch, if you've got any issues with damp and your cavity wall's been done in the last 14 years, send me an email, and I'll try and put you in touch with somebody who can help you. So that's another issue, and it can happen with bridging and subfloor air vents getting blocked. There's a lot of things like that. So if you think that you've had it done it last 14 years, and you think that it's ever since this cavity wall installation has gone in, send us an email, and I'll point you in the right direction. So, joiners and plasterers, that's just a starting point. It's just a starting point. I'm not saying that only joiners and plasterers can, start a company up. I had an email off a lad last week, and he's already a surveyor, and he's doing his damp surveying qualifications because he's wanting to set up a damp and remedial company doing work for housing associations, I think. And I gave him some advice over email, and I think he's going to make a good job of it. He's doing his he's doing his certificated surveying remedial treatments exam, and he's nearly finished it. Once he gets that, he'll be up and running, and we'll have another company that can sort these problems out. So if you think about how many houses you've got in your town, city, village, they'll all be in disrepair at some point. Gutters leaking, things like that, damp wall, penetrating damp. The rising damp's about 15-20% at most damp issues in a property. That's where you get these conflicting issues of is rising damp a myth, or is it an actual problem? And what happened is there's no question that rising damp does exist. It's been proven, but what it is, damp problems are getting misdiagnosed by people who are not qualified, and therein lies a problem in our industry. So people are not qualified, they've not took their exams, they've not learnt our damp transfers throughout buildings and on walls, and the people are diagnosing problems wrong. There's companies around where I live, and I've followed a couple of them, and they've not diagnosed them properly, and then we've been called in, and issues have been shown up, and I've spoke to the company director, and we've talked about what the problem is with his surveyors, and it's happened a couple of more times after that. But I'm not damp proofing police. I can't police it on myself. But things like that give our industry a bad name. So for 2019, anybody wanting to start a damp proofing company up, what I'll say is get qualified, get some knowledge, pay for it, go to PCA, manufacturers, and do everything right. And there's no reason why you can't set a company up and start earning a lot of money and clearing these issues up that's in properties. There's a lot of unscrupulous companies out there that's doing it wrong. So more we can get doing it right, at some point we're going to tip the balance, and then at some point our industry is going to have a better name. So so that's me for that's me done for talking about our industry, and let's hope that some of you out there might want to join in. So if you want to contact me, dampsam at alldrydamproofing.com, then I'll answer your emails, any questions, and I'll point you in the right direction. So we're starting 2019, and we can't do it on our own. So come and give us an hand. Yeah. Right, see you later. Bye-bye.